of Mechanical Engineering at Aditya University, India. Professor Ranjit has an outstanding academic and research career spanning more than 24 years in teaching, 15 years in research, and 10 years in administration. He has authored numerous scientific books and publications in the fields of renewable energy, sustainable transport, hydrogen fuel technology, and artificial intelligence in engineering. He was also recognized as one of the top 2% scientists in the world for the year 2025. Now, let us warmly welcome Professor Dr. S. Ranjit P. to deliver his lecture on Transportation for Sustainable Future, SDG-based solutions to air pollution and climate change. Professor Ranjit, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Annisa, Professor. I think head your post-graduation studies and thank you, Dr. Amalia. She is the head international relations. She is the one who made me to allow into this aspect. And also I was thankful to Professor M.Eng, Dean of this thing, and my respected greetings to the rector of University of Trisakti. The dress code which you are looking at and this bed, white bed is all because of at this moment I am in there's a spiritual activity is going on. That is how is not university dress code. Don't worry about it for time being. You have to bear with me for this 1 hour with this dress code and this what you call it as bed and everything, right? And my apologies for thing if you make any inconvenience for you. Thank you very much for introducing me. And today, let us. I will share my presentation. 1 minute. Is it my presentation is visible?
Yes, Prof. It's clear now.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, it is something like that. First of all, let me give a brief introduction about university. The Aditya, we met a few months back to University of Trisakti, and 2 of our students and 1 faculty is also visited one of your global immersion program, and it was very nice. What correct as welcoming by you, and it's very nicely organized. We must thankful to the International Relations Office, Dr. Maria, and the team, and the rector, and all the people who are responsible for organizing that program. And even when we reached your university, even the hospitality is in the next level. Thank you very much for that thing. And that is how we connected today. And we are participating in this type of different activities. And as the professor mentioned, the dean mentioned that this is not the ending, this is the starting of this particular show. Let us continue this show for the success of for the win-win situation of the both universities in the areas of sustainable development goals for the benefit of the both the nations. And let me introduce about my university. My university is Aditya. Is the brand is established in 1984. We have 40 years of what you call education legacy, and we have.
Excuse me, Prof. Ranjit, is still 1 page for the title. Is it?
Pardon?
It's only 1 page? Is it true? Is it?
No, is it going on?
Yeah, okay.
Right. I'm just giving the introduction that's about my university. I'm just a few lines. It is something like that. We are Aditya in established as a brand in 1984. For the last 40 years, we are in this education legacy. Under Aditya, we have 80 plus institutions, 8,000 plus faculty, and around 1 lakh students available. In the university itself, 23,000 students available, and the university is accredited under the Government of India, NIR of National Institute Ranking Framework 151 to 200. Out of 4,800 plus institutions in India, we are in the rank of 151 to 200, and also accredited by National Assessment Accreditation Council A++ grade and National Board of Accreditation under Tier 1 for 6 UG programs. Globally, we are connected with the Times Higher Education 1001 to 1500 and the QS ranking I gauge diamond. This is the very brief about the university. Now I am coming directly to the point because the time has the constraint. The thought process is the transportation sector. I am basically an automobile engineer. Most of my work is in automobile as well as the IC engines into that. That is because this is one of the major area the world is looking into that sustainable development goals for the climate change. Keeping that thing in mind, when I received a mail from the International Relations Office, let us talk about this particular thing so that we will understand the commonality between the both the universities and so that we can work it out. And this title is something like the transportation for a sustainable future. It is a sustainable development goals based solutions to air pollution and climate change, right? And the journey starts like this in introduction, environmental impacts to the of the transportation, strategies for sustainable transport, policy and technological innovation, sustainable transport technologies, policy framework for global initiatives, and future prospects and research directions, case studies on sustained transport, a glimpse on Indonesia towards this transportation sector, mechanism of air pollution and pollutant formation in IC engines, effect of engine and operating variables. This is that a little bit deep into the technical aspects. Being in industrial engineering, I hope if you are going through this particular automobile and allied in automotive engines and transportation sector, if we touch it upon, then we can concentrate more onto the technical aspects. Now the introduction, now let me say very simply that any nation, whether it is developing, developed, anything is because of the one and only the reason is that how good the way that country, that nation is having good transportation. The transportation is the most important key parameter which describes the total economic factor of this particular economic growth contributor factor of that particular nation. Without the transportation, you can't imagine any nation that is going to be developed. Then today, just to check it out, today we are talking about sustainable development. Earlier, we at our childhood we used to talk about only development. Now see the difference in the generations. Development to sustainable development. I don't know the next generations what kind of word will come across that I don't know. But you see, we are developing, but is it development is happening sustainability? Is it sustainability is there in the development or not? One need to check. Rather than looking this seminar in the form of that you are organizing and I am what you call it as you are hosting and I am presenting my lecture. Rather than that, let us feel that how good we are responsible for the next generations. The reason being that the development needs to be available to the next generations. The availability of this development for the next generation is something called as a sustainable. That's why one should ensure that what is the sustainability has to be there in the transportation sector because it's one of the major polluting parameter in the environment. Then what are the sustainable goals which are what you call it as is connected with this particular transportation sector? There are 3, 7, 9, 11, and 13. And you can't believe in the 2 months back, I was at Sweden, at Gothenburg. Then I went to one museum. That museum is representing to the only students and age less than 12 years, 13 years of children age. There it was the 17 sustainable development goals is already represented and they are discussing to the students. That is the level the European unions they are reached to the reason. The reason being that we are developing, but we are not developing in the form of sustainable way. That is to be very important for the next generations. Then, when it comes to the sustainable development goals with respect to transportation, the sustainable development goal 3 represents the improve the public health by reducing the pollution exposure. And you can't believe one example I wanted to say. Our capital in India, New Delhi, every infant out of 100, more than 90 infants they're attacking with asthma. Is the asthma is one of the bronchitis disease, lungs disease. It makes very uncomfortable for breathing. It's only because of the air pollution, and that's why public health is very important. Not to export to the pollution in the environment. Sustainable Development Goal 7 promotes the clean energy adoption in the mobility. Yes, still we are using the fossil fuels. Then we have to identify the alternative fuels which are giving less emissions from the tire exhaust pipe. Then SDG 9 encourages innovation in low emission technologies. Of course, one side is the fuel, another side is the engine. The engine needs to be identified in such a way that it gives less emissions. Then 11 develops sustainable urban mobility systems. That is very important. When I landed at Jakarta, everyone is saying to me, Professor, you plan your activity at least 1 hour ahead. The reason being that at Jakarta, a lot of what you call it as traffic is there. That I noticed it and witnessed that. And thus see that urban plan, because it is not something like that infrastructure is not good. Infrastructure is excellent at Jakarta, but at the same time, the vehicle population is also very high, right? Keeping that thing in mind, we need to develop a urban model and mobility systems in such a way that which will satisfy the climatic conditions, change in the climatic conditions in the favorable way. Then 13 mitigates the climate impacts through decarbonization. That is one thing very importantly I would like to say. It is something one has to reduce the emissions from the tailpipe of the fuel vehicles, because mostly we are using the conventional fuels and the what you call it as IC engines, and people are talking about the what you call it as so-called electric vehicle. I will come to that point, how good and bad about the electric vehicles, that I will discuss that. Then the next point is environmental impacts of transportation. Now you see the transportation us together is contributing 25% of global carbon dioxide emissions. Out of this 25% of the global carbon dioxide emissions, 75% is coming from the road transport itself. There is a transportation means there is air transport is there, and the road transport is there, and water transport is there. Out of which road transport contributes 75% of 25% of global carbon dioxide emissions. And the pollutants include carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, sulfur dioxide, unburned hydrocarbons, and particulate matter. Everything is being available, which is freely available in the environment, but which may cause a lot of disturbance to the human life. These emissions cause smog formation, acid rains, contributing to global warming. That now, rather than I can replace this global warming as a global boiling now. Now, no, there is no warming, it is the boiling now, global boiling. And you do know that the black carbon from the diesel engine accelerates ice melting in the glaciers in the Himalayan region and everything. And that is how the sea level is rising. That is how even you know very well in the Indonesia, Jakarta, what is the situation and how much sea level rise has been taking place. And these aspects, you are the well victims of that particular thing. This is only because of the pollution which is coming across. Now then what I have to do? Then I have to maintain some strategies for sustainable transport. The strategies, let me say, adoption of electric and hybrid vehicles. No, it's very good. The word, it looks very good. It sounds so great. Everything is comfortable. Yes, very nice. Electric vehicle and hybrid vehicle. Now, very important point is that what is the tailpipe emissions of the electric vehicle? Absolutely, emissions is zero except water. Water is not an emission. It's very good. But the problem, even electric vehicle, even water is also not a emission. Water is also not available. Electric vehicle, nothing is as a tailpipe emission. There is no tailpipe. But what's the problem with the electric vehicle? Electrical vehicle, the present day problem is very simple. It is one is the charging. Second one is the protection. Third one is the what you call it as what kind of electricity that you are using to charge the vehicle. Is it green electricity or not? The reason being that if you are developing the electricity using non-renewable sources like fossil fuels or some XYZ activities, then it is just mitigating the emissions from tailpipe to chimney. That's all of a thermal power plant, which doesn't make any sense. Hence, either polluting from the tailpipe or polluting from the thermal power plant chimney, it remains the same. The environment is being polluting, it, which is only for the sake of what you call it as we are not polluting in the city, we are polluting outside the city. That doesn't make any sense. That's why electric vehicle is one has it has its own challenge. And another important aspect that just to check it out, the electrical vehicle, the what you call it as the disadvantage. It is today we are the technology is developing. We hope that technology will develop further, and we can charge in just a few minutes of time our vehicle, and it can take you to the not less than 500 kilometers. That like that we are planned. We are working on it. We are means the whole world is working on that particular area, and still we are struggling for that thing. In that case, let's say that what is the time, minimum time required for a vehicle to recharge? It is even a type C, a fast charger. With that, you are going to charge not less than 45 minutes. At least minimum to minimum 30-35 minutes, you are going to charge your vehicle. But if you're looking at in your petrol outlet bunk, how much time a vehicle is residing there. Hardly maximum 2 to 3 minutes of time. You are residing in the petrol outlet. The reason being that to filling the tank and to pay the cash. That's all. That's why the size of the petrol outlet is limited size in the city. Whereas if you want to have the electric charger station unit that you have to be maintained in the city center, different places, then the infrastructure development is very highly required. The reason being that you have every vehicle is going to stay not less than half an hour time. Do we have really that much space available inside the city is a big question mark. That is the one big aspect with respect to the charging of the vehicle. And second thing is that how much it is retaining. That is the second aspect. Once it is charged, how much time it is retaining. That is the second aspect. And third aspect is that what you call it as it depends on the if, do you know that how much temperature will rise when you're charging the electric vehicle batteries? It is around 1000 degrees centigrade. It is around 1000 degrees centigrade. The temperature is rising inside the batteries. That is the battery management system, thermal management system, which is going to be taking care of it. Nothing to worry about it. But if the system got failed, imagine the problem is there with the engine and as well as the problem with electric vehicle is also there. Problem with everywhere, but we have to take care of very clearly into these aspects, not to have any disturbance in the short circuit point of view, charging point of view, and running the vehicle in as per the driver mode. It should respond to that. In this all these aspects, the electric vehicle is still a challenge. But otherwise, electric vehicle has a good torque. Electric vehicle is smooth running. It has its own advantage. The disadvantage with the electric vehicle is only the water protection point of view that can be overcome. And battery technology is the most important point at this moment. People are suffering into that. And keeping that thing. And third important point is that from where do you get the electricity to charge your electric car? If you are getting the electricity to charge your electric car from the renewable sources, then then the adopting the electrical technology is the best option. Then in the meanwhile, going to the electric vehicles and present existing the conventional gasoline and diesel vehicles, the hybrid vehicle is the present best option as far as this moment because it runs both on electric as well as the conventional mode so that some of the emissions that can be reduced when the vehicle is moving on a battery and battery is being charged by the conventional engine. Hence, dependency on the what you call it as electric charging is reduced. Hence, it is the intermediate phase. At this transition phase, hybrid vehicle is the best option. And second point, if you look at the promotion of public transportation and non-motorized transport, that's most important. Rather than every individual, let me say, if in my house there are 4 members are there, all 4 members we have 4 cars. Let us say all 4 members are using all 4 cars in the same direction I am moving. Then what is the use of it? It is just showcasing my social status in the society. Other than that, nothing else is happening. More than that, I am polluting the environment. Being educated, all 4 can't we go in a single car? Yes, we can do that thing. That can be promoted. And at the same time, even government also has to provide the good transportation facility so that people will not feel that I have to take out my car to reach my office. That kind of confidence has to be created by the government. The public transport has to be very good at any given place. Next, implementation of smart traffic management and urban planning. This is very, very important. As I told you that I witnessed the traffic jam and everything in the Jakarta. You are very well witness to that aspect. That needs to be taken care because if you are staying at the signal for even 60 seconds also, at the idling, you are polluting a lot from the engine. That's why it is very essential how good you are planning this particular traffic management in the city is the most important aspect and it which contributes the climatic change. Next, shift towards the low carbon fuels and renewable energy. It's very important what kind of fuel that we are using. What kind of fuel that we are using? Is it that fuel after burning is giving more emissions or less emissions? This is very important. Accordingly, you have to develop the fuels because the reason being that the fuels are very important aspects. Keeping in mind in addition to the engine technology, which helps to reduce the emissions from the tailpipe. Next, encouraging behavioral change and eco-friendly mobility choices. That's most important. We all, after all, human beings. Everyone have their own moods. As I mentioned in the second statement, that I'm traveling my own car, my children they are traveling their own cars, my wife is traveling in her own car, which doesn't make any sense. That behavioral change has to be there, and should ensure that everyone should feel responsible, that we are what call it as responsible for the next generations. Then rather than showcasing the social status, let us be contributing for the sustainable development of the society. That behavioral change is the topmost priority, let me say. Then every problem can be resolved. These are the some of the strategies for a sustainable transport. And policy and technological innovations, government policies are there which are promoting the electric infrastructure, and there are incentives is also there. Again, the issue is remain same. If you are promoting the electric vehicle, you should be very clear that is that electrical vehicle is being charged by renewable fuel or not. That's more important. Next, integration of artificial intelligence and Internet of Things for efficient transportation networks. It's very, very important. See, for nowadays, the GPS is telling you that which route is the convenient, which route is the most congested, which route the traffic jam is there. Hence, you will automatically is going to take your, though it is a long route or short route, depends upon the availability of the freeness and traffic congestions, and out of these all these things you are choosing the best route, and you are reaching the destination as soon as possible, which may reduce the traveling time and emissions also. Developing the sustainable logistics and freight systems, that is also very important. Logistics today, nowadays logistics plays a major role in nation after the transportation system. Of course, logistics is a part of the transportation system, where in which the freight and all these aspects has to be in the logistics and freights in the sustainable nature. Then international cooperation on climate targets and green technology exchange. We have to honor the what you call it as what are the international agreements, what are the international decisions that are taken care with respect to the climate change point of view. We have to honor to that, whether we are affordable it or not, are able to affordable that, but we have to honor that and ensure that try to reach to that level, so that we can give it a good society to the next generation. And next is sustainable transportation technologies. Then I just now mentioned electric vehicles, hybrid electric vehicles. These two things I already discussed. And third one is the fuel cell vehicles. The fuel cell vehicles mostly they are using 99.999% pure hydrogen, which converts the hydrogen to the electricity, which can be used as a vehicle. But see, still it is in the research mode. No such what you call it as a practical vehicle is available on the road. Is the reason being that hydrogen has is good and bad. Hydrogen is a present fuel and will be a future fuel also. The reason being that hydrogen has that much good and bad. But the reason being that hydrogen is very good in energy, and there is no carbon into that. When there is no carbon into that, there's nothing to worry about the global warming or global boiling. But the problem is that hydrogen is very dangerous if you are not properly handled it, because it is going to be act as a bomb. Is high intensity heat is there. That's why you need to be very careful. And at the same time, when you are using the hydrogen, the combustion chamber temperature is very high. When the combustion chamber temperature is very high, you are in the environment, the air, we have 79% by volume nitrogen, 79 by mass, and 71% by what you call it as by volume nitrogen is available. This nitrogen is going to get react with this high temperature, and the nitrous oxides is going to get formed. Either nitric oxide or nitrogen dioxide is going to get formed, which is again dangerous with the transportation sector vehicle. Hence, it is very important what we are doing with the hydrogen. Hydrogen is good and bad, and fuel cell vehicles is still in the nascent stage, in the research stage. Now, no such commercial vehicle is flying on the road and needs to be developed in the, because these are the areas where one can look into that for the research aspects. And I'm just giving a glimpse. The reason being that I don't know how depth what you call it as the what you call it as the audience in this particular area, the knowledge there. That's why I'm moving a little bit surface level. And as I'm going into the presentation in next slides, I will go into deep into that particular areas. Next is the biofuels. Biofuels, of course, even Indonesia is also using much biofuels, right? Derived from renewable energy and biological sources, which may reduce the carbon dioxide emissions. Do you know that in the diesel engines we have, other than the diesel, we can use 400 types of non-edible oils. I'm not talking about the edible oils. We can use non-edible oils of 400 type species available. Then, then advanced combustion strategy. HCCA is the one strategy. There is so many strategies called low temperature combustion. Now present in the transportation sector, the most important parameter is the what you call it as the diesel engines is the NOx. Then as I mentioned you, the NOx, the major reason is the temperature inside the combustion chamber. The low temperature combustion makes you reducing the NOx, and the same time you have to trade off with the smoke because NOx and smoke are inversely proportional to each other. If NOx reducing, smoke will increase. If smoke reducing, NOx will increase. Both are dangerous. Both are dangerous. We have to play a very crucial role in trade-off between these two aspects. In the process of low temperature combustion, we have HCCA, PCCA, and RCCA. The different models are there. Homogeneous charge compression ignition engines and partially premixed charge compression ignition engines and reactivity controlled compression ignition engines. There are wide varieties of modes available, which contributing the sustainable technologies for the future transport. Then there is a policy framework and global institutes at place are already available. The Paris Agreement is there in 2015 to ensure that there's no rise in the temperature beyond 2 degrees centigrade. Below that, and UN sustainable targets are there, 17 goals are there, and national policies, for example, in India, FAME 2 is there, European Union's Green Deals is there, US Clean Transit Initiatives are there. Then carbon pricing and emission trading encourages low carbon technologies. Urban air quality management plans are there. Smart traffic management and pollution monitoring. These are the different policy frameworks and global initiatives available. You can look into these aspects, then what their outcomes of this particular terminology, which helps you to derive your outcomes of your research in line with those particular aspects, which helps you to work to and get what you call it as for the researchers and faculty to get into the good amount of what you call it as funding in your projects. Because if your outcomes of your research in line with these policies, then definitely the government will come forward, will give the good funding in these aspects. Then future prospects, development of high efficiency solid state batteries, that's most important because energy storage density is the most important parameter today the world is exploring. A simple example, check it out your mobile phone. Can you check it? Can you keep your mobile phone without charging for 1 week? The answer is highly impossible. Hardly 1 day. Next day morning, before you brush up, you are just charging the battery. You're charging the mobile phone. That is a scenario. That means even before taking the bed coffee, we are charging the mobile phone. That is the reason because the battery plays a major role in the electrical vehicle. If you are able to what call it as sustain for more energy in a given battery, then that is the great advantage for that thing. Next, hydrogen fuel production using renewable energy. Hydrogen fuel is electrolysis is being mostly being used. Electrolysis is the process where you will processing the electricity in the current and you are breaking the bond of the water H2O and separating hydrogen. But electricity again is a question mark from where you are getting into out of it. That's why if the hydrogen, green energy, that's why green hydrogen nowadays called as a green hydrogen. There is a pink hydrogen, there is a green hydrogen, there are a wide variety of different colors of hydrogen is there. Hydrogen doesn't have any color. The production process which influences the name of the hydrogen. Hydrogen is only the hydrogen. Hydrogen is having no color, no order, nothing. It's a very pure gas, right? But the process involved to produce the hydrogen gives the color to the name of the hydrogen. This the green hydrogen is the mostly important aspect nowadays in order to get the whatever it is, utilize the hydrogen fuel. Then life cycle analysis for sustainable materials in vehicles. It's very important. How many materials in an automobile is going to be recyclable, how many not recyclable. Everyone in every industry, automobile industry, every company, they have their own standards available, material utilization standards available. There are some materials are banned totally, some materials are partially banned. There is a list available. One has to follow that particular thing. And there's a smart grids for electric vehicle integration. Means even what you call it as even I was at San Francisco for some time. There the buses like at trams like kind of thing in a given road. What exactly is happening? The buses is connected with the grid and they are running with the electric way, what you call it as lines. When a bus is moving without grid available, it is moving on the IC engine. Now see the best option. Wherever the grid is available, you can make use of it. Otherwise, you can run on the IC engine. Then you can reduce the emissions from the tailpipe. Then artificial intelligence based traffic optimization for reducing congestion and emissions. This is a very important aspect. Now, of course, the future is for artificial intelligence. I don't know whether how good the human being will survive when the artificial intelligence, because the artificial intelligence is developed by us only, but it will dominate us only. That's why I'm worrying about it, because even the development, even what you call it as nuclear fusion, fission, and all those things are developed by us only. We are getting worried about that particular thing. In the same time, in the same way, artificial intelligence also remains same. How good we are using that artificial intelligence is the big question mark. But this will help you to reduce the what you call it as congestion in the traffic. So by emissions can be reduced. Next, there are some case studies on sustainable transport. That's example Norway. 90% of the Norway is mainly depending on the renewable energy. 90% of the Norway is mainly depending on the renewable energy, out of which now you see 80% of new car sales are electric. The reason being that they are depending on the renewable energy. That's why they are using the electric vehicles. There's no doubt about it. You can go ahead out of it. And India, expansion the electric bus fleet and metro systems under smart cities mission. But electric bus fleet doesn't make any sense until unless India is changing the technology from what you call it as the thermal power plants to the nuclear power plants and renewable energy sources. Again, renewable energy, nuclear power plants is a big debate. Is the radiation is the big debate, and I don't want to comment on that particular thing. But see, rather than the nuclear radiation death, if you look at the death rate as because of the nuclear radiation, if you look at the death rate because of the accident, the accident death rate is very high, exponential way comparing to the radiation death rate. But people are not aware of all these things. Simply, they are saying that nuclear energy is not permitted in our area only because of radiation. That people also must be aware of it. Then, when you have a new renewable energy at place, then electrical vehicle technology is the topmost. Next is the China is available is the most of the lithium-ion batteries, which material is being importing from China. Most of results available at China, and they are the global leaders in the EV market. Let me say very frankly, and they are supplying a lot of huge amount of battery material to the world. That is how they are growing. And Netherlands, another way. If you look at that, if not electric vehicles, why don't you use the cycling? Not is it everything? What you call it is need to be a bike available. Now check it out. There is no path available for the cycling in these Asian countries, very except some few areas, for Asia, Japan, some other ways. Otherwise, Asian countries we very not that much importance, including India. Not that much importance is given for the cycling. We feel that cycling is nothing but cycling means we are the poor guys. But my dear friends, I am saying that there are in the developed countries a separate path is dedicated for the pedestrians, separate path dedicated for the what you call it as cyclists, bicyclists. That's why that's the most what you call it as top priority is given to them. That is how people are using. Today we are using cycling. Even I, including myself, I am using cycle. But the reason for that, I have to consume the calories for the food which I am taking. That's why I'm using the cycling. I'm not using the cycle for the day-to-day activities. why can't we make the habit? Why can't we make the habit of using the cycle so that it will reduce the emissions and as well as it will make you fit also. That's most important. That can be looked into. That is the different case studies. That's just I giving. Now I'm coming to the Indonesia. This Indonesia now you check it out. If you look at that socio-economic indicators, there are I mentioned that what you call it as transport, storage, and communications, and especially average annual growth rate in Indonesia and globally Asia Pacific, and employment in the transport sector, and female employment in the transport sector. That these I taken and just check it out. Now you see here the global the average annual growth rate, and on the x-axis I taken as the global Asia Pacific and Indonesia. In this case, if you check it out, in the global, it is around 6%, and it is 2000 to 15 and 2015 to 2021. There are two indicators are there, two different colors. And say in Indonesia, in average annual growth rate in between the 2000 to 2015 is very high comparing to 15 to 21. That that needs to be addressed why this less is there. And employment in transport, if you look at that, even this is globally if 2000 to 2015 this was high comparing to the 15 to 21 in including Asia Pacific, but Indonesia is doing well in the transportation sector comparing to 2000 to 2015 to 21. The employment rate is a little high, not little high, more than 50% it is high. And share female, this is not a big deal, female and male whatever it's so, but it's good that the what you call it as every year, even the female employment in the transport sector is also increasing. It's a thanks for the government for such initiatives, right? Globally it is high, but Indonesia is every year it is increasing. It's a great initiative. Now the road infrastructure growth, if you look at the road infrastructure growth, if you look at that, if you see the average annual growth rate and the global annual growth rate road infrastructure, now you see comparing to 2015, globally it is reduced to 2%, Asia Pacific is reduced to 3%, Indonesia is only reduced to only 1%. And no, it is good then, it's not bad. But overall it is reduced, but Indonesia is restricted to only 1%. That is a good sign. And road infrastructure available per capita. Now you see, globally it is around touching the 5, and Asia Pacific is touching 4.2, something like that. Indonesia is touching 2. But what I could see in a positive way, it is a 2000, 2015, 20, it is increasing, but there is no much difference between 15 and 20, because after 15, there is a huge, after 2000, there's a huge, what because the technical development has been taking place and globalization is taking place. But 15-20, the reason being that in between the period we had come across with the COVID, which drastically changed the total infrastructure of any nation. That is maybe the reason. Otherwise, Indonesia is also growing. That's a good sign there. Then rural population with access roads now. Now this globally at maximum we have around 78%. Asia Pacific we is reached to 80%. Indonesia is also more than 70%. It's a good sign. The means the road population accessibility is good in this place. Now road infrastructure quality, if you look at that, if you then I will consider this thing in the form of road density. In the road density, if you check it out from 1990, 92, 94 to 2022, if you look at that, the road density is increasing in Indonesia. It's a good sign. It's increasing in Indonesia. And if you look at that other places, it is only Europe is a maximum 844. Of course, there's no comparison between the Indonesia and Europe and XYZ other all other. If you look at Asia Pacific, Saharan Africa, Northern Africa, Latin America, and global itself is 395. Indonesia is 303. It's okay, not bad. But Europe has been reached the road density is 844 is the topmost. It is the road density something like that. How many meters of or kilometers of or how many meters of the road is being constructed in given square kilometer of area. That's most important. Means the road construction is the topmost priority, because if the infrastructure at place available and transportation is can be maintained perfectly in a sustainable way, then the nation is to the next level you can expect in the forthcoming years. Without infrastructure, having good technology in the vehicles, sustainable, what you call it as engines available, sustainable vehicles available, doesn't make any sense. First is infrastructure. Infrastructure needs to be there. Infrastructure, the first and foremost important is the road. If the connectivity of the road is there, and if you can travel 200 kilometers, 400 kilometers in just 1 hour, 1.5 hours, even 400 kilometers, just 1 hour, 1.5 hours, it's a great honor that nation can reach to the next level. That's most important. What the developed countries are planning into that. That way we can look into that. Now, if you see the paved road ratio with the road quality, now it is also increasing. That's a great. One can look into that aspect. And the vehicle registrations, if you look at that, now in the Indonesia, the GDP per capita is increased by 4 times, and the road infrastructure has doubled only. Just check it out. See this is the problem where Jakarta is experiencing the traffic. Per capita, the GDP is increased by 4 times. Everyone is now becoming rich and rich. Is okay. Then it's a good sign. But is it the roads available according to the requirement of the public infrastructure? The answer is no. That needs to be concentrated. Where the registrations has been increased by 15 times. The vehicle registrations has been increased by 15 times, and two-wheelers has been increased by 19 times. And this is the most important, my dear colleagues and student friends and the researchers. This is what a civil engineering is also has to be looked into that aspect. That do we really developing the infrastructure according to the requirement of the vehicles? Because we are one side as industrial engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, whatever the departments involved into this thing. We are developing the vehicles, electric vehicles, ICE engine vehicles, and all other vehicles. But really, do we have the infrastructure of the roads available? That's the big question mark. That is the reason why we are facing it. And freight vehicles also increased 5 times, means trucks and everything. The but growth is stagnated. Is because, of course, the roads is major important. Bus registrations are mostly stagnating. Production is 7%, to 15 to 22%. Is of course some here and there, one or two things, one or two common vehicle sector is going to be stagnant. It's not a big deal, because mostly we Asians, mostly we prefer the two-wheelers mostly than the four-wheelers. The reason being that it may be a small family, it may be economical conditions, whatever it's so. Now you see the GDP per capita, total road length, and the vehicle registrations for motorized, vehicle registration for light duty vehicles, and a vehicle registration for bus, freight vehicle registration, total vehicle registration. It is keep on increasing. It's a good sign, but accordingly, the road also has to be. This is the only the thing which is less compared to any other graph is being mentioned over here in between 1990 to 2021. This needs to be understood. And now vehicle ownership and total production. If you look at that, this vehicle ownership, just check it out. 1990, it is what is the population, and 2020, what is the vehicle population? Just check it out. Out of 1,000 people, around 500 people they have. It's a good sign. It's a good sign that a person individually is owning a vehicle. It's a good sign. But really, are we going to have that infrastructure to run your vehicle on the road? That needs to be taken care by the government, needs to be understood. And if you see the vehicle production until 2018 is a good production is there, then suddenly there was a fall after 18. The reason being that is the COVID. COVID is the makes a lot of difference in the human life, because earlier days we used to say BC and AD. Now today we are talking about before COVID and after COVID. The COVID has that much impact. But however, still there is a possibility in the forthcoming years the growth can be increased further. Now you see the transport sector and climate change. Now you see this is the transport and energy consumption with respect to the road, rail, domestic navigation and domestic aviation. Comparing to the aviation and navigation means the marine and aviation flights, the rail, you have road energy consumption is very high. Means road vehicles utilization in Indonesia is very high comparing to any other aspects. Asia Pacific is also same. Globally also same. Globally it is much more than Indonesia. And it is either in the 2000 or 2015 or 2020. You check it out that the road transport, because see, though I have a flight, chartered flight available, my own flight available, I have to reach the aerodrome by the road only. There is no other way. That's why, and one more important point, let me say, automobile, I could say, is the status symbol of any individual. Automobile is the any, because if I am driving my Volkswagen car, if I'm driving in a Mercedes-Benz car or Audi car, it makes a difference. It makes the difference that even if I am driving my Rolls-Royce car, it makes the difference. That's why a social status symbol is the automobile. Then this automobile is majorly contributing the transportation sector. That's why whether it is in Indonesia or Asia Pacific or otherwise, it's the global. Most of the energy consumption is the transport energy consumption is with the road vehicles comparing to other transport sectors. Even it is a transport energy for a share by source also, it is the same, biofuels, waste, natural gas, oil and coal, and mostly is being used the what you call it as the oil. Now if you see this, most is being used oil, but here the one of the good thing that in 2000 Indonesia is nothing is using the biofuel. There is no initiative into that, and whereas in 2015 a small initiative has taken place, and this has increased a lot in 2020. But you know very well, this is the statistics I taken from the Asian Transport Outlook, but you know very well how good we are using these biofuels at Indonesia. You know very well, because that's most important, because these are the renewable fuels. The biofuels are the renewable fuels, and you are very good that you are compensating the oil by the biofuels. It's a very good sign. It's a great applause from my side for the Indonesian people and the country and the nation taking such a great initiative towards the what do you call it as the climate change. And the transportation infrastructure vulnerability. In the transportation infrastructure vulnerability, if you check it out, that see China and India, there is no much vulnerability for the road when it comes to the People's Democratic Republic and Philippines and Vietnam and Indonesia. And these are the major Japan, including Japan. These are the right side is the major prone area in the Democratic Republic and the Philippines. Is because of natural calamities very high at your place. Indonesia, Vietnam, Philippines, and Lao people's Democratic Republic. Here, there may be earthquakes is very high. There is a possibility most damage to the roads. That's the vulnerability index rank is very high in this region. In spite of that, the infrastructure which I witnessed at Jakarta is very high. Is very good, very important. One has to appreciate that aspect. And next is the transportation air pollution. Now you look at that transport air pollution. Now you see this in comparing to the 15, 20, and 2025, the transportation emissions is less. That one has to be appreciated. And death due to the occupational exposure in the exhaust is increasing in this aspect that needs to be considered in Indonesia. And then I'm coming to the mechanism of air pollutant formation. May I know the host that am I on time, or otherwise am I exceeding the time, my time? What exactly is it interesting? Because now I am diving into the core technical aspect of the engine. Is it the audience is with respect to the emissions, engine's point of view?
Yes, Prof.
Okay,
Speak
right.
it.
Now, means can I go ahead?
Yes, please go ahead. Prof.
Yeah, thank you. Because the post lunch, I am worried very much. Reason being that post lunch, the listener, the teacher is very happy to because he has energized. The students also, and means the listeners is also happy that they energized. But on the side of the coin, they will get the sleep. Post lunch handling the session is very difficult task. You asked me to handle that session. And that's why I'm looking at that. Then the most important air pollutants, let me say, there are petrol engines and diesel engines. In general, let me come look into that aspect. Petrol engine emissions are different and diesel engine emissions are different. Different in the sense, it is not like that petrol engine emissions not available in the diesel engines are not available in the petrol. Everything everywhere is available, but dominating factor is the most important. In petrol engine emissions, we are only concentrating on carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and unburned hydrocarbons. Whereas the diesel engines, we are concentrating mostly on nitrous oxides and smoke. We are never bothered about carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and unburned hydrocarbons. The one and only reason with the diesel is the temperature inside the combustion chamber is very, very high. When the temperature inside the combustion chamber is very high, there is no question of carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide is going to come. Unburned hydrocarbons are coming out from the diesel engines. But what is the problem with the diesel engine is diesel engine creates NOx. Diesel engine creates the smoke. These are the two parameters. That's why diesel engine we will measure only NOx and smoke. Petrol engines we measure the carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, and hydrocarbons. And very importantly, one has to keep in mind that petrol engines works at the rich mixtures, diesel engine works at the lean mixture. That is the reason the diesel car will give the more mileage than the petrol. Now I am coming to the point in such a way that why the diesel fuel is being considered for the transportation sector. Now you check it out, any freight vehicle, you check it out, any bus, you check it out, any what you call it as a transportation sector vehicle, except your private vehicles. Most of the vehicles, 99% of the vehicles, government run vehicles, transportation sector vehicles, freight vehicles, they are diesel based, not the petrol based, because petrol engine works always at rich mixtures. Rich mixtures means no mileage. Lean mixtures means mileage is there. In India, I don't know about the Vietnam, about the price of a petrol and diesel. What is the difference among these two? I don't know. But in India, there is a around 10 to 12 rupees difference is there. Indian rupees difference is there between the petrol and diesel. Diesel was less than the petrol. The reason being that government has given subsidy to the diesel for the transportation sector fuel. But in the manufacturing point of view and distillation point of view, getting the crude from diesel and the petrol from the crude oil, no much difference in that particular price. The price remains same, but government is wantedly giving subsidy to reduce the transportation cost. And so it's very important. One has to keep in mind that the NOx formation is happening in the diesel engines only, not in the petrol engines. In that process, the reason why the NOx is happening because the temperature in the what you call it as a diesel engine is very high, which may interacting with the inert gas, so-called nitrogen, and is also getting reacting at high temperatures, forming the NOx. And CO formation is because of incomplete combustion. When inside the engine, the proper air is not available, proper oxygen is not available. There's a possibility of carbon monoxide. Hydrocarbon emissions, again, hydrocarbon emissions is because of the what that wall quenching, crevices, and cold zones. These are the different things. Wall quenching means when you're injecting the fuel, if it is not mixing with the air, it is connecting with the cylinder walls, then the mixture is not possible. Means it has to be seen. The fuel, very simple fundamental. There is, I could say, as an IC engine expert, I can't say myself as expert. I could say what I would like to say is that if two things has to be married, then they need to be in the similar state. For example, you are marrying the air with the liquid fuel. What is the liquid fuel? Is either petrol or diesel. They are in the liquid state, but air is in the gaseous state. Then you have to make the liquid into the gaseous state. Then you have to then marry with these two things. Then they will participate very good in the combustion. Then you will get the energy as the output, power as the output. The total drama, total movie is how good you are mixing these two things, how good they are understanding each other, how good they are participating in the combustion, so that the outcome of the engine, the power is coming out of the engine for the given fuel. It makes the thermal efficiency of an engine. That's most important. One has to keep in mind total, whether it's a petrol engine, a diesel engine, CNG engine, LPG engine, hydrogen engine, biofuel engine, any engine, any engine you may take it out. All together, it is the ball game of mixing of air and fuel and participating in the combustion. When you are able to take care of these areas in your research, definitely you will come out with some good outcomes, and that research has some value which you may contributing something for the development of the society. There maybe you will get the confidence out of it. That's most important. And next is the particulate matter. This particulate matter is because of the incomplete combustion, especially with respect to the diesel fuel and lubricating oils, which ultimately lead into the smoke and carbon dioxide emissions. Carbon dioxide emissions is nothing but, of course, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide. When you compare these two things, carbon monoxide is very dangerous, and carbon dioxide is, I could say, the good compared to the carbon monoxide, because carbon monoxide is more concentrated in the carbon, and carbon dioxide is a diluted one. Is all together is because of the carbon content in the combustion process, right? And next is very important factor is the engine and operating variables. One is the fuel air ratio. The fuel air ratio is very important, that we used to represent it by phi. And phi is nothing but ratio of fuel to the air. If it is less than 1 is called lean mixture, and greater than 1 is called as a rich mixture, equal to 1 is called as a stoichiometric mixture. Stoichiometric mixture means chemically correct mixture. Means to burn 1 kg of the fuel, how much kg of air is required? Because air is not having 100% oxygen. Air is having only 21% by volume oxygen is available, and 23% volume by mass oxygen is available. Then in that process, what I'm saying is that how much kg of air is required. Then you are calculating using oxidation equation. You are calculating the how much quantity of air required. For example, diesel is a 14 kg of air required for 1 kg of diesel, and petrol is required 15.2 kg of air required for 1 kg of petrol. Then you are asked. Then you may ask me one question, Professor. We are pouring the diesel and petrol in liter, but you are talking in mass basis kg. The reason being that the specific gravity of the fuels will change time to time, batch to batch, petrol outlet to petrol outlet. That's why rather than calling it as in the volume basis, always research happening in the engines on the mass basis. That's most important one has to keep in mind. This fuel air ratios is very important in contributing the what you call it as the emissions. Lean mixtures will reduce the carbon monoxide, hydrocarbons, but at the same time it increases the nitric oxides, nitrogen dioxide, or nitric oxide, or it may simply called as a NOx combinedly. Then ignition timing, when you are advancing the ignition timings, then NOx will increase and reduce the carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons. Compression ratio, higher compression ratios improves, but NOx will increase. These all three areas, if you look at that, fuel air ratio, ignition timing, compression ratio, sorry, NOx is increasing, hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide is decreasing. But to reduce the NOx, what are the possible ways available? Is the one of the best methodology is the exhaust gas recirculation. This is about the diesel engines point of view, transportation sector fuel, there in which if the NOx is being reduced, exhaust gas recirculation has to be used. It has its own percentage, 5 to 20% is of maximum. We will use the exhaust gas recirculating into the engine to make use of it. Otherwise, this is what you call it as if you are increasing the exhaust gas into the engine more, then you will get a huge amount of hydrocarbons and unburned hydrocarbons and carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, which is not advisable even in diesel engines. There is everything has a limit. And next is the fuel type, biodiesel, CNG, hydrogen, and these are the thing. And one, let me say one important point. When in India in 2000, the Supreme Court has given in at Delhi, no vehicle has to ply, no transportation vehicle has to ply on the Delhi roads using conventional diesel. They have to convert into the CNG. Thus, they converted into the CNG. The emissions are less. Everything is okay. How you can say emissions are less? We are just a common man doesn't know all these things. Common man will only look at the tailpipe. If no smoke is not visible, they will feel that emissions are not there. But emissions is not because of the visibility, non-visibility. Visibility is always a good indicator, but if non-visible emissions are also available, say for example, smoke, particulate matter 2.5 micron. 2.5 micron is much dangerous than 10 micron size. because our nostrils have the hair, and the God is so great. He's created so much of good. Means I could say the best example of engineering is the human being. The best example of engineering is the human being. The reason being that it's so simple. The even your heart, check it out. Your heart. Heart is a pump. For 100 years of life, no single second is taking rest. But your electric motor pump in your house, which is pumping the water to the fourth floor, fifth floor, 10th floor, can you run that electric motor for 10 hours continuously? The next day, the winding will be gone, the pump has gone, the electric motor has gone. But your heart is pumping thousands of liters of blood without stopping. That's the great. Even the kidneys, the lacks of filters available in the kidneys, which filters unwanted things. But it is the size is not more than your hand, right? Means palm size. That's what I'm saying. That the best example of engineering is, I could say, so-called human being. Then I'm coming back in that way. The nostrils, the hair is available in the nose nostrils. This hair is acting like as a filter to filter the what you call it as smoke or particulate matter with up to 10 micron size. But when CNG is being used, do you know that it is emitting the 2.5 micron emissions, which are much smaller than this existing one that is not visible. Because of not visible, we can't say that it is not existing. We are not able to see that. That we see we have five senses. All these five senses have its own range. We are not perfect. We ourselves is not perfect. Our body itself is not perfect because of the senses. Then how you can say that which is not visible, we are not going to get, we are not getting the emissions out? Yes, we are getting the emissions, even including the CNG also. But that emissions are much dangerous than the diesel emissions. But then there people had different strategies that they followed after treatment devices like catalytic converters, diesel particulate filters, and selective categorization system that they used these all these things to reduce the emissions inside the vehicles. Then engine design modifications has done optimized combustion chambers, fuel injection system. Because now you check it out, you open any direct injection diesel engine, none of the piston have a flat surface. Earlier we have a indirect injection engines. These indirect injections used being in the Second World War, World War II. The reason being that when any tank means is entered into the war, then that particular tank is being used for the diesel fuel and everything. But in the war zone there is no petrol outlets. Once it is completed, then the tank has to move to fight in the war. Then whatever the oils that they are taking in with along with them for the food purpose and everything, they are using that oils in that indirect injection engines. That is how the tanker is moving forward direction to participate in the war. That's how idea engines are there. Means idea engines is good for the any kind of fuel, but direct injections are not good for any kind of fuel. Direct injection engines are only good for the very fine atomized fuels. That's why, and the turbulence is very important. Turbulence is very important. The turbulence is only created through the geometry of an engine. The geometry of engine means combustion chamber is most important influencing parameter in creating the turbulence inside the engine, because you are asking it to mix air and liquid fuel in the atomized way, where the turbulence creates a lot of critical role in mixing the air and fuel and intact with each other, so that it will participate in the combustion. And the fuel injection is also more important. How good you are injecting the fuel, what pressure you are injecting the fuel, what velocity you are injecting the fuel, what atomization you are injecting the fuel, what is the size of a particulate one fuel particle size, the average mean diameter, that is called a Saturn mean diameter. In 1974 itself, Alcotab, Hirayasu, Kadawata, 1974, 1979, 1982, they developed spray patterns, how the diesel fuel has to be injected, how it has to be atomized, how it has to be vaporized, how it has to be mixed with the air, and where it is going to be penetrating, and all these aspects are being designed in the 1974 itself. That is what the total history of engines, what is exactly is happening. That is, the engine design modifications are most important prominating parameters in reducing the emissions. That is why I'm telling you, once I'm coming back to this direct injection engines, none of the diesel engine piston surface have a straight surface. It have a different geometries available to create turbulence. The turbulence may be swill, squish, tumble. There are different types of turbulence factors are available. Then alternative fuels is there. Yes, bioethanol, biodiesel. Biodiesel, people are using biodiesel, bioethanols. Biofuels are using very good. That's what the statistics has been already shown. And hydrogen blends. Hydrogen is always good, and hydrogen is always a future fuel also again. But one of the problem with hydrogen is one is the handling. Especially hydrogen handling is not so easy. The reason is hydrogen, when you are storing the hydrogen will, because you cannot store in a plastic pipe, you have to store in a metal structure. In the metal structure, hydrogen always makes the ductile material to brittle. This is called hydrogen embrittlement. This is called hydrogen embrittlement. A mechanical engineer who is working in the material side can look into this aspect of hydrogen embrittlement, how to reduce. A lot of work already taking place. Now you check it out, what we can contribute further. This hydrogen embrittlement is very dangerous, which what it does basically, these hydrogen molecules will interfere into the atomic structure of the parent material. The ductile material will become brittle material. When any shock has come across, any load has taken by the material, then without any deformation is going to get break, and it will lead to a disaster. That's why hydrogen storage is not so easy. Mostly we will follow, generally I will follow NFPA class 1 division 2 group B standards, which creates a good safety with respect to the hydrogens, because we have to use a very specific material called SS stainless steel. SS316 is the topmost priority is being given for hydrogen storage and transportation, followed by SS304. These are the two stainless steel materials. Quality is good most at this moment being used for the hydrogen safety and as well. If we given an opportunity, I will discuss this hydrogen engines and hydrogen storage and hydrogen transportation, hydrogen safety aspects for engines point of view. We will discuss in the next sessions if given an opportunity. And next is urban transport policies. Public transport, as I mentioned you, that public transit is most important. Cycling lanes and pedestrianization is also very important. Now people are getting awareness towards the health issues. People are using walking, morning walking, rather than you're doing the morning walking, but day-to-day work you're doing with them by walking. That itself is a good habit of reducing the emissions and as well as improving your personality and health conditions. Then vehicle inspection and maintenance. This is the big area where the inspecting authorities has to be honest enough. They're not supposed to be bribed. This is a very big area. I don't want to talk on an open platform. Again, is a government initiative. Now, now, may I know the professor, what is the time left over for me?
I think it's enough, bro. Is it okay? I think it's enough for time.
Time is over.
Yes, because we are now sitting in the question and answer.
Okay, right. Okay. Yeah. Then I am skipping the slides. This is the very core into the engineering.
Okay.
But if anybody is interested, we have another discussion on the core engines combustion process that I will discuss in the next some other time. And please let me know if you have any doubts. I'm very happy to clear it that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much, Professor Ranjit, for enlightening and thought-provoking presentations. Your insights have truly been deep our understanding in how sustainable transportation can play a crucial role in addressing global environment challenges. Now we'll open the floor for the question and answer sessions. The participants might kindly type their questions in the chat box. The question and answer, all those only 15 minutes.
There is the chat box rather than ask them to just directly question me. That's the best option.
I think we have Ahmad Zudi. He asked for the. I think India is still very dependent on primary energy source from fossils. petroleum and coal, both for industry and transportation. What is India's strategy to carry out the energy transition according to SDG 7?
No, no, no. See, India not only, I can't say that we are mainly depending on the fossil fuels. Now we increased the percentage of bioethanols into the petrol and alternative biodiesels into the diesel. Earlier it is only 5%. Now we are reaching to 20%. Uh, Accordingly, the engine modifications also is required. It is doing well. But because see, the population is not so simple in India. We cross with the China, right? And so much of vehicles are there, and so much of oil is required, and there, this much of huge amount of what you call it as infrastructure need to be changed. It cannot be changed in overnight. It takes time, but India is taking a positive way, where in which we are adding the biofuels into the existing fuels in the down the line, because acceptability by the people is also very this means challenging part, because a very diversified nation, a huge population, not everyone will accept it, because when you are adding the ethanol into the petrol, sometimes because of the chill weathers during the winter seasons, the cooling effect, the water will be coming out of this particular fuel, and which may deteriorate the engine components. Hence, they will not accept that. They will feel that the petrol outlet people are there mixing the water in the petrol. That kind of issues will be there, but we are resolving all those issues, and we are penetrating into the Indian market with a good amount of biodiesel and the bioethanols in the petrol as well as the diesel, and the people also accepting it. But it will take time, because being, as I mentioned, that is a being very diversified nation, huge population, um, taking time into the digesting the system is a little bit time, but we are reaching to the good percentage of mixing the biofuels with the existing petroleum fuels. Yeah.
Okay, and also one question from Mr. Ahmad Zudi. I read that several researchers have developed materials to reduce carbon emissions on roads by processing plastic waste into substitutes for asphalt, asphalt or concrete, as well as implementing greenery along highways. In this initiative optimal enough?
Means the plastic to the oil, that's what he's saying. He's asking,
I
is
think
it asking plastic to oil, right?
yes. I
Yeah,
think
yeah. See, plastic is always a big threat to the human total fraternity, no doubt about it. Whether we developed this thing for the sake of the good thing of the human fraternity or bad thing, I don't know. But plastic is always a big dangerous. But bringing the plastic to the oil ensure that the process is not again contaminating the environment. That is first important point. Second point is that because even I will take simple example of COVID. During the COVID time, the vaccination which we use, do we have the same gestation period for every other vaccination? Answer is no, because we don't have time. We don't have time. That's why in just 3 months of time, the vaccination developed, we start using that vaccination. Whether it is good or bad, we don't know. In the same way, these all technologies, converting the rubber to the oil, converting the food waste into the oil, converting the plastic into the oil, that the process involved in converting the oil, the 2 points. First point is that is it the oil have the good quality as per the engine requirement? Second point, while making the making this oil, the process involved into that, again, is this process is making contaminating the environment? This is also need to be understood. It in nowadays the research is happening that I am doing something delta change with the existing system. My research is over, my PhD is awarded. That's okay. That point of it is allowed, but in the society is very important, needs to understood whatever the new thought process that you develop, procedure that you develop, is it eco-friendly and environment friendly or not? That's most important, needs to be authorized by the that concerned departments of the environment. Yes, this process is no effect on the environment. Then second one is that the fuel has exactly the quality requirement of the engine, because everything ASTM standards are there for fuels and everything, that needs to be appropriately it is there. Otherwise, what will happen? It affects the total engine emissions later. Otherwise, the life of the engine. That's most important one has to keep in mind.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prof. So we have Mr. Hendrik Nummers. He has three questions actually. First,
Okay.
in SDG 13, it is stated related to decarbonizing. As long as I know, this relates to carbon capture and it is a kind of expensive. How to reduce the cost of carbon capture process? And second, using electric and hybrid is not also effective as the materials used.
Which one? Second, can you repeat the second question?
Using electric and hybrid is not also effective as the materials used, not only lithium, to produce the battery are risks, especially to environment, how to reduce the cost of producing those materials. And the third question, Japan is nowadays have been establishing a hydrogen-based vehicle. How effective and efficient the construct vehicle compared to electric and hybrid vehicles?
Japan is producing what kind of vehicle?
Hydrogen-based vehicles. Hydrogen-based vehicles is yes. In Japan.
Which kind of vehicle?
Hydrogen-based
Hydrogen.
vehicle.
Hydrogen. Okay.
Yes, hydrogen-based vehicle.
Yeah. The first question is carbon capturing. That is the big question. That itself is the people are working throughout the globe. Because of this carbon emissions only, because the carbon is in black in color, which when it is released from the tailpipe of exhaust gas, it will be depositing on the what you call it as snow regions, and this black has the emissivity of 1, which attracts the sun rays and heat, and which absorb the heat, which may cause the glaciers are going to be melting, and that is how the sea level is rising. That is a big threat. The capturing of the carbon itself is a big question, and is a lot of research is happening. That is one point. Number two, second question is that hybrid electric vehicles and electric vehicles. Hybrid electric vehicles and electric vehicles, that's what I said. Electrical vehicles, if you are using like Norway type of country where 90% of electricity is being produced from the renewable energy, then that is 100% acceptable to go to the electrical vehicles. Otherwise, the best option is at this moment in the transition phase, go with hybrid electric vehicles. Hybrid electric vehicles is the best option at this moment. If not, then if you are producing the electricity using green methods, then what you call it as you can use the electric vehicles. Otherwise, hybrid electric vehicles is the second option, best option in the appropriate time. Third one is the what you call it as hydrogen engines. Hydrogen engines, yes, good. Even BMW also said that we are very comfortable in hydrogen vehicles rather in electrical vehicles. But we never know that the technology, if the shift has taken place in battery technology, we are able to charge the battery in just 5 minutes of time, and one single charge may give 500 kilometers of time. Then battery vehicles is the topmost priority. But another important aspect is that how to control the battery waste. Everything new technology, there is always, for every policy, there is a good and bad. For every new technology, there is good and bad. We have to also have to not only developing, then when you are removing it, when you are making it to the disposal policy should be at place which may not contaminate the environment. That is also has to be there in the electrical vehicle process. And third one is hydrogen. Hydrogen is the excellent, topmost, no doubt, present fuel and future fuel. Only problem with the hydrogen is handling. If you are not able to handle the hydrogen, it is much danger than a spouse. Number two, then second important point is that it may lead to accident. Second important point is that hydrogen is little bit costly because no technology is available which may produce hydrogen at a price of the fossil fuels available. That's the second important point. These 2 points, if you are able to manage, then hydrogen fuel is the best fuel, I could say. But only that safety is one aspect and the price is another aspect. These 2 points needs to be considered.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Okay, I think we don't have any questions anymore. So thank you to all participants for the engaging questions. And once again, thank you, Professor Ranjit, for your thoughtful answers. So ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the next agenda, we would like to present a certificate of appreciation to our distinguished speaker, Professor Dr. S. Ranjit P. in recognition of his valuable contribution and insightful lecture today. We kindly invite the Vice Dean too, as of the Faculty of Industrial Technology, Universitas Trisakti, Dr. Insinyur Nora Azmi, MP, to present the certificate to Professor Ranjit. Please, Bu Nora.
Okay, Dr. Ranjit, have my voice, can you hear my voice?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Ranjit, for sharing your time and expertise with us today. We really appreciate your valuable insight. Please accept this certificate of appreciation as a token of our gratitude.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Please, committee, this is the certificate. Okay, this is certificate. Thank you once again, Dr. Ranjit.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I hope in the future we can have opportunity to collaborate again.
Thank you so kind of you. My best wishes to the University of Trisakti, and inshallah everything will be good very well, and we will again meet and let us discuss in a productive and a fruitful way for the benefit of both the institutions. I'm most thankful for giving this opportunity to your management, the rector, and our director international relations, Dr. Amalia, and the head postgraduate studies, Annisa, and the dean and yourself and all the team members. I'm most thankful to you for this, and especially let me thank the audience because of the after you made this session during the post lunch. I think so. Post lunch listening is a very big difficult task. In spite of that, they are very enthusiastically listening to that and asking the questions and interaction. Very happy for a teacher to say thanks about this particular thing. Let me thank you very much and giving this opportunity. So kind of you, so kind of you.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Professor Ranjit and Dr. Nora Azmi, for this meaningful moment. Once again, let us give a warm round of applause to Professor Dr. S. Ranjit P. for his inspiring lecture and contribution for today's event. Okay.
Thank you. So kind of you.
Okay, before we close today's sessions, we will take a group photo. Okay, we kindly ask everyone to please turn on your camera for a moment and let's take a picture together. Okay, silakan Mas Marta. Okay, turn on your camera. Okay, please smile in 3, 2, 1, cheese. Okay. Okay, sudah selesai Pak Marta ya?
Can I say one thing here? The point is that earlier days we never ask you to smile, but today we are asking to everyone to smile. This is called sustainable development.
Okay.
The development is taking place.
Okay.
Asking the smile is the sustainable development. And thank you very much for this giving this opportunity. And
as we come to the end to this guest lecture, on behalf of the Faculty of Industrial Technology, Universitas Trisakti, I would like to express our sincere appreciation to Professor Dr. S. Ranjit P. for his valuable time and inspiring insight. Our gratitude also goes to the Dean, faculty members, organizing committee, and all participants who joined these sessions. Let us continue to collaborate and contribute to a more sustainable and cleaner future for our planet. Once again, thank you very much for everyone for your participation. Stay safe, stay inspired, and see you in the next our academic event. Have a wonderful afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So kind of.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you very much, Professor.
Yes.
Oh, udah tuh buat saya udah keluar dah. Besok ya? orang si Putra tadi itu loh. Iya sama dia tadi ya.